Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. It's nice to be back. We're going to be spending the next hour and a half together in what I call boot camp, sometimes called the sanctuary, where we're going to be practicing a chi exercise, meditation, um, all that for our health, right? So we talked in the past about how it is important that we focus on our health span and not so much on our lifespan. And that kind of talks about the difference between the Western approach to health versus the Eastern approach to health. The Western approach to health focus on the components, different organ, the health of each organs focus more on the symptoms, whereas the Eastern approach focus more on the energy. So by energy, it means that it's a system that is not known, not understood by the Western health scientists. And it basically talks about the connected tissues in our body, the connected tissues that wraps around our muscle, our veins, and very complicated web of communication channel. And what the Easterners, they believe that health is when you have free flow of this energy called chi. And so today we're going to be focusing on a various modality: massage, tapping, scraping, and acupressure, so forth and so on. And we start with the extremities. Extremities is where what we call the yang energy, energies that are influenced by the sun, which in this case are energies that are leaving the body. And then also the yin energy, which is the absence of the sun, which in case other energies keep coming back, it's a sort of the rebounds of the energy. And the extremities, whether they're fingers, the toes, the top of the head, the ears, are the places where that exchange occurs. So we're going to start with some massage, focusing on our fingers. So we're going to start with the fingertips. So I want you to lift up your left hand. I want you to use the right thumb, and I just want you to massage the tip of the fingers. This is how we get started. And massaging the tip of the fingers. Now, while you're doing that, we're also practicing mindfulness meditation. And meditation can be practiced in various forms. Most commonly is practiced while you're sitting. Sometimes we practice when we're standing, and you can even practice while you're lying down. So these are the forms, these are the postures where you practice mindfulness meditations in when the body is still. Whereas you could also practice mindfulness meditation when you walk or when you're exercising. So I want you to focus on your body. And now we're moving from the tips along the fingers, working on the joints now. So I want you to, again, using your right thumb and just kind of massage the joints. And while you're doing that, I want you to focus your mind on the change in your body. And as you massage the joints, I want you to feel the change in the body. See if there's any pain, comfort, right? Even pleasure feeling or unpleasure feeling. Any heat that you generate as you're massaging the joints. And now we're going to move from the left hand to the right hand using the left thumb. Once again, focusing on the joints. And I want you to practice mindfulness in the sense that you focus on the present moment. And whatever happens already, just let it go. Whatever hasn't happened, there's no point of really worry about that. Just focus on the pleasant. Now we're done with the inside of the hand. We're going to move to the outside of the hand. Again, we're going to start with the tip of the fingers, but this time I want you to take the thumb and your index fingers and put it on both sides of the nail and the fingernail, and just kind of massage the fingernails. And then now we move from the left hand to the right hand very gently. And similarly, we're going to massage the joints, one joint at a time. one finger at a time. Always check your mind to see if your mind is wandering somewhere, wandering into the past, wandering into the future. And whenever that happens, you bring the mind back to the present. Bring it back to the body, focusing on the joint. And once you finish with one joint, move to the next one. Let go of the one that you finish. Right, one joint at a time. Okay. Now we're moving away from the tip of the fingers towards your shoulder, and the knuckles is where we do next. So I want you to hold your left fist gently. Take your right thumb, use the edge of the thumb, and put that in between the knuckle, and kind of massage that. If you have never massaged your body like this, you feel some numbness, some sore maybe, kind of an unusual feeling, and you get used to that. Now that you're done with the knuckle, I want you to continue with the fingers, and you notice in the back of the hand, the fingers are still individualized. So you can take your thumb, use the edge, and just kind of massage in between the fingers on the back of your hand. Similarly, do that on the right side. Now, obviously, when you massage your fingers, that helps with arthritis, right? Arthritis is another form of inflammation, and you would find some relief when you do that. Now, uh, now that we're done with the back of the hand, we're going to move to the wrist. So I want you to use two fingers and kind of feel the top of your wrist, and you can feel like two dimples in here. Then I want you to use the thumb and do some acupressure, right? Press down on the cap on these dimples, and then similarly on the right hand. Now I want you to do a couple more points. So as you bend your wrist, I want you to use your thumb and just kind of reach over, and about one thumb away from the bent, there's a cavity here, and I want you to push into that, and then push into that. Okay, now I want you to locate your thumb, and then on the outside of the thumb, there's another cavity, and I want you to push into that, and then similarly on the little fingers, there's a cavity right at the wrist. Okay, right at the wrist. Okay, on the thumb, and then on the wrist. Well, for those of you who are interested in knowing more about these pressure points or energy points, it's very easy, right? Very easy. Just go to a website. I mean, go to a web browser and just ask the question. And these days, they typically answer not with a search, but with AI, which means that they went out and they look for all the websites, consolidated, give it to you in a very easily digestible form of knowledge. And so you can ask them, what is meridians? What is pressure points? What are the differences? So you would find that they talk about the meridians in terms of the six meridians, um, actually 12 meridians, six originating from the fingertips, six originating from the toes, and each of the six, three are yin inside, three are yang, right? So you can look that up on your own, and then you find that basically the thumb is energy line that we name after the lung. The backside is we name after the large intestine, so forth. And so these energy points actually have a name. In the Western nomenclature, they don't use description; they use numbers, right? So that's fine. All right, so now we're done with the four fingers. We kind of want to do the same thing with the thumb. So I just want you to massage the thumb. We use the thumb more than we use any other digit. And so just massage the thumb all the way around. Massage the thumb on the other side. In fact, it's the discovery of the thumb that started our evolution, right? And before that, we shared the same ancestor with the apes. And once we know how once we know how to use the thumb, we know how to hang on to a tree branch. We can use it as defensive weapons. We'll walk down from the tree and start living in the cave, right? So it all started with the thumb, basically. And now I want you to identify this part of the thumb. If you look at your thumb, it looks a little bit like a drumstick. There's a part in here that is very meaty. So I want you to use the right hand, the thumb, and the index finger, and imagine that this is like a pincher, and just kind of massage this part. Now, this part of the thumb is a energy point that is actually very important. So just kind of massage that, and then similarly massage that. And then I want you to use the knuckle and just kind of push down on that. You do some acupressure. Same thing on the other side. Push down on that. All right. So this energy point is named is part of the meridians that are named after the lung. The middle fingers is another meridians that we name after what's called the pericardium, which is what's outside of the heart. And right in the middle, and actually it's kind of in between the middle finger, index finger. And if you reach over with your middle fingers, it's right there. And I want you to kind of massage that center point and massage that center point. And again, using the knuckle and really work on that. Now, this energy point is the only one out of the 360 energy points in the body that can actually give out energy. So it's that's why we call it a healing hand. So I want you to put the palms together and just kind of rub the palms together like this, right? So whenever you want to heal somebody or heal yourself, you start with this. And now I want you to put the right hand on top of the left hand and kind of squeeze the fingers and kind of rub it like that, right? Right? A lot of you, feedback to me and says, "Oh, I like this exercise. It seems to increase my energy flow." And you notice that the exercise that we do here is very gentle, very gentle. We're not running around the blocks. We're not lifting weights. We're not exhausting our body, but rather we're actually clearing our energy channel. And by clearing the energy channel, we actually feel a rise in energy and a rise of vitality. All right. So, um, um, where are we? Okay, that's fine. Okay, so now we're ready to do some now we're ready to do some Qigong exercise. And Qigong just means Qi is the energy flow, Gong means the practice of the energy. And it's a very simple one, it's very well known, especially in Taiwan. It's an exercise that they believe will decrease the chance of having a stroke. Now, a stroke really comes from inflammation of the vessel, right? So it's all the same. It's if you increase the energy flow, you reduce inflammation in your body, you reduce the ache and pain, increase energy flow. It's very similar. And it's a very simple exercise. You take your hand, you take your thumb and the index finger, you put those two digits together, and you just squeeze as hard as you can. And then you take your thumb and the middle finger and you squeeze as hard as you can. And then you take your thumb and the ring finger and you squeeze as hard as you can. And then for lastly, the little fingers and you squeeze as hard as you can. Then you bring back the thumb, you put that in the middle of the index finger and squeeze. In middle of the middle finger and squeeze. Middle of the ring finger, middle of the index finger and squeeze. Now, the reason why they think that this would increase your energy flow and reduce inflammation, reduce chance of having stroke is they believe that the energy can be called yang, entrance of the sun, or yin, the absence of the sun. So when the sun comes out, it dominates. When the sun goes to the other side of Earth or whatever, then there's another form of energy, and they define that energy in terms of the five elements. The five elements are the water, the vegetation, the fire, the soil, and the mineral. Now, if you think about that, those are the five elements that we need on Earth that can sustain life. And when we search for another planet where there might be signs of life, we search for water. Then we search for vegetation. Then we search for a planet that it actually can provide the climate for growth of life, which is how it works with the sun. Finally, we talk about the soil. And then in the end, we talk about the mineral, right? So it makes sense. Now, the Chinese approach to the yin energy is that they define everything in five, Okay, and so everything is in five, including the fingers. So they think that the fingers represents the five elements. They think that the internal organs are represented by the five elements. The kidney is water. The liver is vegetation. The heart is the fire. The splint is the soil. And then finally, the lung is the mineral. And these elements has to work together in a harmonious way, right? And so it reflects on the fingers, and they think that by activating the fingers, it provides the harmony in internal. All right, so now this is the first set of exercise. I recommend you doing that on your own. The second set of exercise, come back to the evolution of a species. Once again, evolution of species start with the fingers. So they think that the fingers are tied to our neurological health. And so this next exercise is starts with the finger, but it ties into our brain. And separating the left brain from the right brain, we lift up our right hand, which means that we're using our left brain. And we're going to close these fingers one at a time. So I want you to close your eye, focus on the thumb, bring the thumb in, focus on two fingers, bring those in, focus on the index fingers, bring that in, and then finally focus on the little fingers and bring that. Now I want you to lower your right hand, bring up your left hand, which means that you're using your right brain. And then same thing, thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Bring it up and squeeze as hard as you can. Leave the right hand and then open the fingers individually in reverse order. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Bring that down. Left hand, little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Then I want you to stretch as hard as you can. And then I want you to say to yourself, that was the first time. Now we start on the second run. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. Squeeze as hard as you can. Little fingers, thumb, index, two fingers, thumb. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And stretch as hard as you can. Once again, say to yourself, that was the second time. Now we're doing it for the last time. Thumb, two fingers, little index, little fingers. Thumb, two fingers, index, little fingers. And squeeze as hard as you can. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. Little fingers, index, two fingers, thumb. And then stretch as hard as you can. Now bring the hands together, palm facing the center of the palm, facing the center of the palm, the fingers touching each other. I want you to push that together. And then I want you to bring up the elbow, forming a straight line. Sit up straight. Now make sure that the center of the palms are maintaining contact. And then I want you to bring it down. Feel the stress on your wrist. Okay, now I want you to bring it back up, and we're going to start to do some tapping. And you can imagine tapping is energy, right? So when you play your guitar, when you play your drum, you're just creating energy. We're doing the same thing with the body. So we're going to tap the fingertips, but just like you're playing an instrument, your mind has to be with the instrument. So your mind has to be with the fingers. So I want you to sit up straight, put the fingers together, focus on the fingertips, feel the vibration, and then I want you to tap that 30 times. Okay, now I want you to cross the fingers so there's energy points at the tip, and then there's also energy points at the bottom of the fingers. And I want you to tap that 30 times. Okay, now I want you to tap the two energy points. They have very similar name, and one is along the little fingers and one is along the thumb. Now, when we talk about our heart, right? We don't separate the heart from the lung. They actually work together, obviously, right? Because what is the purpose of the heart? The purpose of the heart is to circulate the blood. But what is the purpose of the blood? The purpose of the blood is to carry oxygen. Where does oxygen come from? It comes from the lungs. So they have to work in partnership. So on one side is the is the heart, and then on the other side is the lung. And so you can remember I talked about this being the drumstick. So there's a part, a very meaty part here. Similarly, you find that over here, as you come down from the little fingers, there's a meaty part here. So I want you to form a V with your palm, and I want you to tap that energy point 30 times. Okay. Now I talk about the five elements, and then I talk about the six meridians that are yin, and then also the six meridians that are yang. So how does the five goes to the six? Well, that's because they separate the heart into both the mind and the pericardium. So very clearly, the pericardium is like the mechanical part of the heart, whereas the mind, or that they don't actually make this distinction in terms of the character. The mind and the heart are the same. Okay, and so this one is actually the heart, but it's also part of your neurological health, and so this one is very important. And then now we move from the little fingers to the thumb, we form the V. Once again, the meaty part, right? Not the bone. Okay, make sure that we don't tap the bone, because the bone, the energies are traveling in these connective tissues. They're actually in between something, right? So get ready, go. Now, the Western scientists, they call the intestines the second brain. They think that there's actually quite a bit of intelligence in our digestive system. They call the calf the second heart. There's actually a parallel in the Eastern, and and the Yin is the mind or the heart, whereas the Yang is the small intestines. The two are related. In fact, there's a lot of study now that says that digestive health is very much related to Parkinson, right? So when we move from the yin to the yang, we're moving from the heart or the mind to the small intestines. And this turned out to be a very important energy point, especially for those of us who are aging. This energy point actually ties to our spine, okay? And so I recommend that we do a lot of work on this one. And so to find this one, you take your palm, you fold it, you see this line, and it's just right on the edge of the palm. So now you take your palm, you flow it, you fold it flat like this, and then you bring your hands together and we tap that energy point 30 times. Okay? All right. So now this the yang is the small intestines, and the yang for the lung is the large intestines, which is kind of interesting. The lung is not only for breathing and bringing oxygen. In fact, it ties with the heart, and it's the one that distributes the nutrients through your body. So it's in a way it's the intake of the nutrient, whereas the large intestines is the opposite of that, right? It's very interesting. So this energy point is actually very well known. I call that the merging valley. So if you take your fingers, you open it like this, there's a valley in here. So I want you to take this energy point, put that on top. We're going to tap that 30 times. And then the other side. Okay. And then I want you to focus on this energy point. This energy point is actually very useful. It actually reduces pain in your body. And so we go back to this energy point. We're going to do some acupressure. So I want you to open your fingers like this. You see the ridge in here? Then I want you to take your thumb. You see this line in here? You put that line on top of the ridge, and then you go like this. Okay? And then you try to push on that, and you feel a little bit of numbness, sore, right? And next time when you have cramps, you try this, and it's kind of magical. It removes the pain. All right. So we're done with the finger exercise, right? So you think that, oh yeah, that helps with any kind of arthritis in your fingers, just like I said. But it turns out that by working with the fingers, it increased the energy flow in your body, and um, and you feel a lot of comfort when you do that, especially when you're flying, which I did for the last 2 weeks. And these days, I mean, in the old days, you would get up your seats, you go to a place near the bathroom where there's some space, and you do some, exercise, stretching, standing on your toes, that kind of thing. But these days, I don't do it anymore. And the reason for that is that, with global warming, with the change in the weather, you just don't know where the turbulence comes. Sometimes it comes with the pilot not knowing, and so in fact these days I noticed the warning comes after the turbulence, not before. And so I don't like to get out of my seats. I put on my seatbelt all the time. So instead, I just massage my fingers, and then not only that, I do what the next part, which is scraping. And so once again, the energy line starts with the extremities. Three of them rise in the inside of the arm, and then three of them rise on the outside. Inside is the lung, the pericardium, and then the heart or the mind. Outside the yang, and it's this one is called the triple warmer. This one is called the large intestine, and this one is called the small intestines. So I want you to find something like this, a ruler or something like this that you can buy from Amazon, scraping tools, right? And or you can just use your knuckle. Just use your knuckle, right? Okay, I cannot carry that on the plane, right? This is an offensive weapon. They're not gonna allow me to do that. So when I carry my knuckle, and you can just use your knuckle to do scraping, or you can use something like this. All right. So we're gonna do this very systematically, and so first we're gonna identify the center line on the inside of the arm. We're gonna go from the elbow to the wrist. We're gonna take a edge like this, and we're just gonna scrape. And the first time you do that, you're not used to the pain. Okay, you're not used to the pain. Okay, but then after a while, you feel a lot of comfort, a lot of and what do you call that? You find that when you do that, you feel really good. Okay, especially when you have aching in your body, and this really helps. Now, we're done with the center line. This is called the pericardium. We move up to the edge of your arm, but we're going to back down. On the inside of your arm is the lung. Once again, starting at the elbow, move along the bone, inside the bone, all the way to the wrist, come back. Then we're going to scrape the bones. And you might say, well, why scrape the bone? I thought the meridians inside. Well, actually, the meridians is where the energy flows like this, but there's also cross flow. And so scraping the bones actually increase the cross flow. It's very complicated, but we don't need to understand it that much. What is really important is your sensation, how you feel the sensation. All right, now we're going to do the outside of the bone. That's the large intestines. Then we're going to scrape the center, which is what we call the triple warmer. And then we're going to scrape the back of the hand. Now, this is particularly good when you have arthritis, right? And then scrape the little fingers and each of the fingers, and then back to the center. And then we're going to scrape the outside, which is the small intestine. And then we're going to rotate our arms, come back to the center, the triple warmer, to outside the bone, that's the large intestines, on top of the bone, inside the bone, and then the center line, and then finally is the heart. Now this one, I remember I said that the Chinese, they don't separate the heart from the mind. The two works together. And this one actually is very well known for improving the quality of your sleep. So we're going to start at the elbow, I mean the wrist, and especially these 4 inches, this area, and I want you to scrape that. And I want you to scrape all the way to the elbow and back. Now, this one actually continue. And when we do the Qigong exercise at the end of the class, one of the things that we do is to stretch the spine. This muscle is actually very important in terms of your mind ability. Now we're going to do the same thing on the right arm, the center from the wrist to the elbow, move up to the inside of the bone, that's the lung, then on top of the bone, on the outside, and then in the middle, back of the hand, the fingers, and then on the outside, that's the small intestine. And then rotate the hand back until you get to the center line. And then finally, the little fingers. Okay. Now, a lot of us suffer from, what do you call that? I forgot the name now. Carpal tunnel, right? These days, many of us suffer from carpal tunnel. It used to be that that was only a problem for people who work as a laborer, whether you are a chef, you use your fingers a lot, you're a seamstress, or people just have these repetitive motion, then they develop this carpal tunnel. But nowadays, we can get the carpal tunnel by using a mouse, using our fingers for video games. And video games actually is very bad for your health because you're constantly using your fingers, you're not moving your neck. It's really bad for you. Okay. And the game itself is another issue, but just the fact that your posture is so bad, right? And so you develop this thing with your carpal tunnel, and it's interesting, right? Because the problem comes on the fingertips, but yet the pain is in the back of the hand, around the hand, the elbow, and so forth. And it's all because of lack of energy flow, blockage of energy, and inflammation, right? So, of course, when you go to the doctor, and they would recommend that you take an injection of steroid induced inflammation, right? And that's not something I will recommend. And what I find is that if I just do some scraping, it helps a lot. The next thing that we do also helps with carpal tunnel. So this one is with the fingers, right? Back to the fingers. So let's stretch your spine. Now the spine is very important. The spine is the channel, the primary channel for all the yang energy. So I want you to stretch your spine, stretch it as hard as you can, as if you're moving your top of the head towards the ceiling. Then I want you to lean back, relax. I want you to focus on your shoulder, lift up your shoulder all the way up, and then open your shoulder all the way, and then relax the shoulder. Okay? And then I want you to focus on the forehead and lean back until your ears on top of your shoulder. Then I want you to take your chin and just kind of tuck it in a little bit. So the top of the head is now facing the sky. Then I want you to focus on your hands. Bring up your hands. Lock your elbow, all 10 fingers pointing towards the camera. I want you to close your eyes. Now focus on the four fingers. The four fingers of the spring, I want you to bring that in. Then I want you to hold those four fingers with your thumb. Then I want you to wind up those four fingers, but don't let it go. Hold it down with your thumb and then get ready. One, come back. Two, come back. Three, come back. Four, five, six, seven, eight, and nine, and 10. Now we're going to continue the exercise by bringing your arms back. Open the shoulder, sit up straight. And when you open the shoulder, there's two energy points here that I call the gate to the cloud. Is part of the lung energy line. And it's called the gate to the cloud for good reason, because if you think about your lung, the energy that comes from the lung, the oxygen, as if they're there to moisturize, so as they're energize your entire body. It will be the same as the moistures in the fog in the morning. When you open your window, you see the fog. Well, it's been there all night. It's there to moisturize the earth. energize the earth. So this is the same. So you open the shoulder and then you relax. Then you take your fingers. We call that the lotus hand. You take your thumb and the middle fingers, you put that together. Then you take the other three fingers, you stretch it. Then you put your lotus hand in front of the gate to the cloud. You once again open it, sit up straight. Back of the hand facing the camera. Get ready. One. Back of the hand facing the camera. Come back. Two. Come back to the lotus hand. Three. Four. Five. Six. Seven. Eight. And nine. And finally 10. Okay, so we're done with, it's been a half an hour, right? So we're more than half an hour, 35 minutes. So we start with the fingertips, we're working slowly to the shoulder. So many of you have somewhere around 50, 60, 70, whatever. You start to have something called a frozen shoulder, and it's inflammation of the shoulder. And this one exercise is very good for that, right? So I talk about the carpal tunnel, frozen shoulder. Something else that we talk about is the back of the neck. You get a bump, and again, blockage of the energy. And I don't know. For some reason, they call that the Dowinger's bump. It's for the Dowingers, the emperor. And when they don't exercise, they create blockage in here. So we're going to work on this from in the back of the hand to the top of the head. So first two energy points that we're going to work on. So you take your hand, you put that in two sides of the neck. It's very easy to find, and there's two cavities. So I want you to take your thumb and massage those two cavities. Now, this energy line is named after the gallbladder, and this two energy point is called the pond of wind. Now, wind is something you cannot see, taste, or smell. You can only feel. So this is in the Asian time, they refer this to nerve. You can only feel it. You can't see it. Okay. So this is called this pond of wind. All right. So now I want you to use your thumb and do some acupressure and push into this cavity. I want you to lean back and provide some counter pressure and just hold it and then relax. Now you take your right hand, four fingers, put that on the left, push it down, grab the neck and pull it from the left to the right. Same thing, take the other hand, push it down and grab it and pull it to the left. Now I want you to lift up your left ear, you take your four fingers, your right hand, and massage right below the ear. Now the Chinese actually has a name for this cavity, and it's called the um, it has to do with wind, but they use the same word that they use to describe cataract. So cataract is what blocks your eyesight, and this one is what blocks the nerve. Now, as it turns out, this is the beginning of the vagus nerve, right? So there's some correlation here, and so this is actually a very important part to massage and put you in the rest and digest mode. Now I want you to massage across. This is in fact how the vagus nerve travels. Then I want you to do the same thing on the other side, right? Massage first, right? Massage, and then just massage across. Now I want you to take the left hand, right hand, and massage from the top of the ear down, and then take your left hand and massage down. Now I want you to take your thumb and instead of putting on the cavity, locate the middle between this cavity and the top of the ear, and you're on top of the bone, you just kind of massage. Now this actually is a very well-known energy point to improve the quality of your sleep or even relieve your stress so that you can go to sleep. And many of you suffer from insomnia, and this is a good energy point. Okay. Now I want you to put the thumb on one side and just kind of squeeze the neck. And you notice that when we do massage here, we don't work on the muscle. We actually work on these cavities. There's a form of massage called the what's that called? Okay, it will come to me. And then I want you to massage the middle of the neck, which two energy points right here. And then right here is also very important. Okay, so those are the three areas that um, you want to massage in the middle, and then these two cavities. Right? Is to relieve the blockage of the energy. So now we're going to work on the shoulder, and I want you to, before we work on the shoulder, I want you to lift up your left ear again. Use your right hand, use the edge of your index finger, and just massage this part. Okay. So there are 8 cavities that we call the longevity cavities. They turn out to be the places where you have your lymph nodes, your lymphatic systems. Okay, and then I want you to scrape that, and then I want you to massage the top of the shoulder, the back of the shoulder, on the side of the shoulder, and just massage on the way around. Okay, yeah, the form of massage that people call is called the fascia massage. Right? Fascia is basically connective tissue. Okay, so the top of the shoulder, and then before we forget, scrape the neck, top of the shoulder, back of the shoulder, side of the shoulder, and all the way around. Okay, all right. So this is very systematic. It's a whole body massage, right? It's a holistic approach to maintaining health, but it's a holistic with a W. Okay. All right. So now we do the front to the front of the face. Back to the healing hand. Put that together. Now, when you do this, it's important that you focus on this. It's mind, body together. Okay. And for those of you who practice yoga, yoga comes from the North Indian word yuja, means mind, body togetherness. Okay. Now I want you to form what we call the empty hand. Then I want you to put in front of your eye, sit up straight, and then I want you to open your eyes. And when you open your eyes, you see light. Well, then you have to kind of adjust your palm, your fingers, so you don't see any light. You see darkness. I want you to see darkness. All right, get ready. Put your hand together, and then put that in front of your eye. Open your eye. And then second time, now first time the eye needs some adjustment, okay? Then the second time you feel some warmth, even though you're not touching your eyeball, you feel the warmth because the energy that you generate in the center of your palm is infrared, okay? And so your eye needs to adjust. Put that on your eye, right? Let's do it one more time, and you put that there. Then I want you to massage the face from the forehead to the chin. Then I want you to massage the side of the head, and then I want you to put the palm, the center of the palm on top of the temple, and then massage. All right. Now I want you to massage the middle of the eyebrow, and then from the eyebrow all the way to the top of the head, like this. You feel a lot of stress there. And then I want you to massage the beginning of the eyebrow. Then I want you to massage on top of the eyebrow. And then massage this tip right here, this energy point right here. And massage the forehead, massage the top of the head, the back of the head, the lower part of the head, massage the neck, massage on top of the ears, back to the face, in between on the both sides of your bridge of the nose. And then I want you to massage the fingers. Grab each of the fingers and kind of rotate like this. And then on the other side. Okay, all right. So now it's important to massage around the eyes. So I mentioned that there's 8 cavities that we call the longevity cavities, back of the ear, around the eyes. Now around the eyes is actually very complicated. There's 6 energy points, 3 on the eyebrow and 3 below the eyes. So we start with the edge of the eyebrow, beginning of the eyebrow. We take an index finger, put it right there. Sit up straight and just push down with your finger, never with your fingernail, okay? Push down with your fingers, hold it, feel the numbness, and then now take the index finger, put that in between your eyebrow, and just massage your eyebrow like this. as if you're squeezing a toothpaste. So not only are you massaging the three energy points on your eyebrow, you're also squeezing the oil tubes. Okay? Now I want you to take the thumb, the right thumb, and put that at the corner of your eye and just kind of massage below the eye bag. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now I want you to take the index finger, put that in the corner of your eye, but actually it's not at exactly at the corner. It's right on top of the bridge of your nose, and push down on that. Sit up straight, close your eyes. We're going to do some eye yoga. Now I want you to take your eyeball, rotate it up, close your eye, but as if you're looking at the ceiling. Then I want you to rotate to the right, see as far as you can. Rotate it down, looking at the floor. Close your eyes, right? And then to the left. Okay, so back to the top, we're going to rotate clockwise. Okay, ready? Top, right, down, left. Top, right, down, left. Top, right, down, left. Back to top. We're going to do this counterclockwise. Left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up, left, down, right, up. Now open your eyes. Very bright. This goes up bright eye. So you take two fingers, put that at the corner of the eye, massage all the way down. From the corner of your eyes to the two sides of your nose to the corner of your mouth, all the way down. Then I want you to take the index finger, put that right below the eye bag. There's two energy points right here, outside of the nostril, and then massage your neck. Okay, now last thing we do is the ears. We separate the ears into three parts. Now the Chinese believe that the ear takes the shape of a fetus. So it actually contains all the energy points of the fetus that after we were born, it's distributed in the body. So it's actually a mirror image. It's a mirror image of the entire body, but it's upside down because the fetus, when they come out, is upside down, I guess. Yeah. So we first put that on top of the ears, put four fingers in the back, and massage. So this actually connects to energy points in your kidney. Then in the middle, and then take the index finger, put down the bottom, massage the back. Now we come back to the tip, massage the tip, yank, massage the edge, massage the ear loop, yank. Now leave the thumb behind the ear loops, put the index finger outside of your ear, and then massage. Now we're going to massage the back of the ear. So take your right thumb and just massage that curvy area. And then take two fingers, one on the ear, one on the skull, and massage from the top to the bottom. Same thing on the other side. And then both sides. And then one final thing we do with the ear is called the drumming. We take the palm, put that behind, close the ear, stretch it, and then go 1, 2, and then 3. Okay? All right. So finally, we get to the top of the head. The top of the head is very important. All the yang energy comes to the top of the head. This is our part of our head that we want to tap to improve our neurological health. So first we're going to do massage the skull. Okay. Now we're going to come back to the posture. Remember now, this is where all the yang energy travel, and the channel for the yang energy on your spine. So we're going to stretch the spine, lift up our shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, relax. Lean back the forehead, tuck in the chin. So the top of the head is on top of the spine. Then we take the 10 fingers, we put that on top of the head. Once again, we're tapping. So this is a musical instrument. So we got to focus on our fingers, focus on top of the head, feel the vibration. Get ready? Go. Now we're going to take 10 fingers. Remember that we started with the fingertips, right? So we're going to take the fingertips and just going to massage all the way down to the back of the neck. Second time, and then one last time. We're going to do the same thing on top of the ear. One, two, and three. Okay? All right, so now we're moving towards the bottom of the feet, and we're going to tap the shoulder. Right? Remember this energy point right here, the well of the shoulder? Remember this energy point right here for the gate to the cloud? So first we're going to stretch your spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. We're going to turn the neck to the right. We're going to lift up our right hand. We're going to form an empty hand. We're going to put that on the left shoulder, fingers on top, palm of the hand in the front, touching these two energy points. We're going to use the empty hand. So this is an instrument now. We're going to tap this and energize the body with acoustics. Okay, get ready. Listen with your left ear. Get ready. Wake up and continue. Okay, now we're going to move to the right. So again, stretch your spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax, turn your head to the left. Left hand, empty hand, put that on your shoulder, palm in front. Listen with your right ear. Get ready. Wake up. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue tapping, and but before we do that, we're going to massage some of these what I call the longevity cavities. We already did that in the back of the ear. We already did that around the eye. Another one that we need to do is in the belly button. So we're going to take the hand. We can use two hands or one hand. It doesn't matter. And just kind of massage and increase the diameter of your circle and until you get to the large intestines. Okay, now back to the center again. Just kind of massage clockwise and then just slowly increase the diameter of the radius movement. Okay, all right, Tracy. I know you just show up, you're late, but it's okay. Everything that we do here is recorded, so if you miss a session, just go to our YouTube or Facebook or Patreon page. Okay, all right. Now the second cavity that we're going to massage is the armpit. This is part of the heart meridians. It's also where the liver meridian travels. So this actually turned out to be very important. So we're going to massage that using this part of the hand. Okay, and then same thing, and then we're going to massage this part, which happens to be where there's three energy lines, three energy points. Again, we're using the part of the thumb, and then on that part. So you probably know a lot about the different ways that we massage, well, energize these energy points. It starts with just finger massage. We can do tapping. We can do acupressure. We can do acupuncture, which we cannot do on our own. We need expert to do that. You can also do scraping, and then you can also do burn. No, it's not an incense. It's I forgot what it's called, but people would actually um, uh, using like a big, almost like incense thing, and just kind of put some heat around there, or they do some suction cups, right? Cupping. So these are different modality, all trying to do the same thing. But there's one thing that they don't have in the ancient time that we can do is using a blow dryer. You can actually, after you take a shower, just use a blow dryer and just kind of put some heat around that. Here, 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 back of the ear, not on the eyes, of course, right? And then later on, we're going to talk about the same thing on the lower part. All right, so we're going to do some tapping now. Stretch your spine, open your shoulder, lean back, and then relax. Now, remember, now this is part of the heart meridians, part of the mind heart meridian. So it's very important that we do some stretching on this part. So we do that by focusing on the elbow, put that on top of the head, sit up straight. So we're stretching this one, right? Then we're gonna grab the right ear. Remember now, talk about this being upside down. So this actually is the kidney, yeah, energy line, energy point. So I want you to now turn your head to the right, bring up your right hand, empty hand, put that on your armpit. Focus on your armpit. Listen with your left ear. We're gonna tap that 30 times. Get ready? Wake up. Continue. Same thing. Sit up straight. Pinch the left ear. Turn your head to the left. Empty hand. Put that on the right. Listen with the right ear. Get ready? Wake up. Okay. Now to the arm, to the wrist, elbow. Okay. Now lock your elbow. Three energy points. So we take the right hand, empty hand, wrap it around your elbow, fingers on top, palm of the center of the palm on the edge. Gonna lift up your left hand, eye level. Turn your head to the right. Listen with your left ear. Get ready. Wake up. Now we're gonna use empty hand, right? This is acoustics. Get ready. Go. And then the other side, lock the elbow, left hand, right ear. Get ready. Go. Continue. Okay. All right, so now we're going to move from the upper part to the lower part. And usually on Saturday, in the only English class that I have, I tend to spend a lot more time on explanation because I know that many of you are here for the first time. So as it turns out, we don't have enough time to do everything. And so we're going to do skip some. And then now on Monday and Thursday, 7:30 in the morning, you can also watch my Cantonese class on YouTube or Facebook, and then on Friday afternoon at 6 p.m. Then we do another class. It's exercise only, just like the Saturday class. So when we were traveling in Japan, I watch YouTube. I go to the channels because you know um, I'm kind of a toy junkie. I like my toys. So when Apple announced this new product, I can't help but to want to watch them. So I go to this one channel that I normally watch. My wife knows that I watch it. And all of a sudden she said, "Oh, he knows how to speak Japanese." I said, "No, actually he doesn't. He speaks English." But since we're in Japan, Google now with this AI capability, they automatically dub it in English. And not only that, the subtitle are also I mean, they automatically dub it in Japanese. Everything is in Japanese, even though the person speaks in English. So that's some of the AI capability that Google's working on. Well, when I came back to the States, I got an email from Google, and it says that, well, pretty soon we're going to provide the same capability to your channel. Wow, I'm so excited, which means that you can actually go to my YouTube channel on the weekdays where I practice in Cantonese, and hopefully be able to hear in real time the dubbing in English, so you can actually follow. All right, so we'll hopefully we get there. And since we normally run out of time on Saturday, we don't do the whole treatment. We have more time during the weekdays. And so today I'm going to skip some and just focus on a few energy points that I think are important. and and so the first energy point that I'm going to focus on is part of the spleen energy line. It's also important for reducing inflammation that causes cholesterol. And it's very easy to find. It's inside of your leg, and then it's in the so you first find the bone on the knee. You measure 3 fingers. It's right there, and this one actually most people get really sore, right? Me too. Now we're gonna tap this with the energy point that is on the edge of the palm. Okay, ready? Go. Okay, so this is an important one, and it has ties into inflammation that causes cholesterol involvement and ultimately stroke or heart attack. Now, the next energy point, since I'm only doing a few, is when you close your knee. On the outside is the energy line that is named after the gallbladder. If you divide it into 3 parts, 2 energy points, this one is called the market of wind. And is known for once again reducing your chance of having a stroke. So get back to the edge of the arm 30 times. Okay, now the next one that I want you to do is along the same, but it's now below the knee. So you run your fingers up where you cannot go anymore. There's a cavity right there. And then we're going to tap that 30 times. And this one improves your immunity. Okay, now the next one is in front, which has to do with the stomach energy line. And this one will improve your digestion. So back to the knee, 4 fingers, and then the bone on the outside of the bone, not on top of the bone. Okay, now close your knee from front to back. Get ready, go. Okay, all right, and finally we skip all the way to the bottom of feet, and this is a very important energy point. It's one of the most important longevity cavity, and it's called the Gushing Spring. So I want you to lift up and see the ball area. Right below the ball area, there's a cavity. So first we're going to do some acupressure. And then now we're going to do some massage using the part of the thumb. Okay, now we're going to roll the toes back like this. We're going to form empty hand. We're going to put that on top of each other. And we're going to use the empty hand to tap the cavity. Okay, ready? Go. Continue. And then now we're going to do that on the other side. And then massage, do some acupressure, and then massage. Roll the toes back, form empty hand, tap that 30 times. Continue. Okay, now we're gonna go to the floor now. Okay, so I saw a comment from Rebecca. She said, "What are your thoughts on these techniques on a person who is quadriplegic?" Which the answer is very simple. It's very difficult, right? It's very difficult to move your arms and your legs when you can't move them, by definition. Um, Rebecca, if this person is somebody close to you that you can joint, um, my email address is Denny, Denny, dot miu at gmail.com. Contact me directly. And I believe our creator has a plan for all of us. She has an idea that we don't understand yet. When you take away someone's eyesight, the ear becomes very sensitive. When you take away the mobility, the mind becomes very strong. And when you cannot move your arm and your leg so that you cannot join us in the exercise, this person is very, very sharp in his mind. And it turns out that the most important exercise you can do, if you can't do anything else, or even if you can do everything else, it turns out that the most important exercise you can do is what we call abdominal breathing, is to go back to the beginning when we were a fetus inside a mother's womb, when we were a life form, and then eventually when we were born. We breathe with the diaphragm. Breathing with your diaphragm actually creates the harmony between your yin and the yang. Okay? And yin and yang in the modern language is the two autonomous nerve system. Yang, when you're under the sun, when you're outside in the cave, you're in danger, your body is in fight or flight, or what we call sympathetic. When you're inside a cave, outside of the sun, away from the sun, you're in yin, right? Which means that you're in rest and digest, parasympathetic. We lost that ability, and these days they call that autonomous disorder. All of your problems comes from that. And so the exercise helps you in um, creating, maintaining, enhancing that harmony between your energetic and your restorative. But it's also a way to increase our mental sharpness by learning to pay attention to our body, learning to pay attention to our breath. For someone who's not mobile, whether they were born that way or they're by accident or whatever, someone that you might call quadriplegic, they actually have that advantage over us. Their mind is very sharp. So they can actually skip all that exercise and go right to their abdominal breathing. So, Rebecca, if you're interested, and if this person is somebody close to you, contact me directly. I'll practice with you individually. Okay, is that important? All right. So let's continue. We're going to continue to work on these longevity cavities. The next one is actually right where the kidneys are. Now, you might think that the kidney is the kidney, but the kidney ties with the brain. Okay? The kidney actually ties with your neurological health. And the reason for that is that the Chinese believe that the essence of the kidney is the marrow. And so the essence actually travels along your spine. And then they believe that the brain is the seed of the marrow. And so this actually improves your blood flow and actually helps with your brain. Okay. Now the next one is actually the back of the knee. I want you to massage that. And then we want to tap that 30 times. Get ready? Four fingers behind, thumb on the side. Get ready? Go. Continue. Okay. Now, finally, the last one is actually right here. Right here. This is actually a very important part, a very important longevity cavity. And as you might imagine, this is where the lymph nodes are. And so it would improve your immunity, right? All that. But it's also where your reproductive organs are, whether you're a male or female, doesn't matter. Now, one might think that, oh, as I age, I lose my utility of my reproductive organ. Well, not true. Your reproductive organ is the beginning of life. So you always need that, whether you use it for reproduction or not. Okay, so this one I recommend massage this one. So this is the part where the best time to massage that is when you get into sleep. You lay on your bed flat, you open your legs like this, and you just massage. Highly recommend this. Okay. Now this also comes from a traditional Chinese medicine doctor in Taiwan. She's an expert in cancer treatment and whether and so she recommends this one, right? Okay, the next one we want to do is tap it. So take your fist and just fit it inside here, and let's tap that 30 times. Get ready? Go. Okay, let me take a look what Rebecca has to say. All right. Okay. Now we're going to do this exercise, the full exercise called Ying Jing YJ, which means exchange or renewal of, if you translate it one way, is the tendon. But that's incorrect because it's the same Chinese word. It actually is renewal of the connective tissue. It's another way to say it is energizing the energy channel. Okay, so this exercise requires that you stand firmly on the ground so your gushing spring is touching the earth. Let the energy flow into your body. So after you do that, you rotate your toes inward. You're loosening up your knee, not all the way down, just loosening up enough to activate your second heart. Then you open your shoulder. Make sure the well on the shoulder is lined up with the spring, right? When you dig a hole in the ground, it's a well only if there's water, right? Then what you want to do is you lean back your forehead, you tuck in your chin, so you put the top of the head on top of the spine. Then you focus on the center of your palm. Make sure that's facing down. You bring it back slightly so it's on the either side of your spine. The first one is called Spirit Boosting Palm. And it requires that you don't use the strength of your body, but the strength of your mind. So what you need to do is you want to focus your mind on the center of your palm. And when I say go, you focus first and then you push with your mind. Okay, ready? Go. Puts a shockwave into your spine. And then now it's very important that you go from fight or flight to rest and digest. And you do that by focus entirely on your breath. You feel that you're breathing in, and you said to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. And you feel that you're breathing out, and you said to yourself, I'm breathing out. And then you do the second breath. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Now, the only way you know that you're in rest and digest, that you actually maintain the harmony between yin and yang, is when you have saliva. Saliva is very important to your health. Hydration is important. Self-hydration is even more important. That's when you know you have harmony. Because when you in fight or flight, the first thing it does is turns off your saliva gland. Okay? Now, second time, let's try it again. Go. Back to the breath. Focus on your breathing and nothing else. Let go of all your thoughts, let go of all your random attachment, just focusing on your breathing, one breath at a time. One last time. to the breath. Check your right inside your mouth. Now the next one is called pointing the Jiwan. Sorry. Pointing means that you come back to the finger. You point your fingers to the two sides, the hip. You don't need to touch. Just form the energy loop. You roll up your four fingers, and then you imagine having two buckets of water on your big thumb. And then you lift up those buckets of water, stretch your thumb as hard as you can, hold it, and then relax without lowering your hand, maintaining the energy loop. Back to your breath. Second time, and then relax. One breath at a time. And then one last time, and then relax. Lower your hand, completely relax. Focus on your breath. Check the inside of your mouth. The next one is called beginner's mind, the baby's mind. This is what the baby does to energize his heart and his pericardium as he grows into a life form. You put your thumb across, you roll up your fist, and you squeeze your fist as hard as you can, and then relax without lowering your hand. Back to the breath. Second time, and then relax. One last time, squeeze your fist, and then lower your hand, completely relax. After two breaths, you put your fists together, put that in front of your belly button, and then you take a deep breath without stopping. And then relax. Now you close your elbow, you stretch the back, and as if you're cracking your back. And then relax. Back to the breath. After two breaths, second time, and then relax. One last time, and then relax. Then you continue. The next one is called fists on top of the head. You bring your fist up, you open your shoulder, you open your fingers. Now this next exercise is very cardio. You roll up your fist, one joint, two joint, you lock up your thumb, and you squeeze. You're putting stress on your heart when you do that. And then you relax, let the blood flow back into the fingertips. Second time, open the shoulder, squeeze, and then relax. One last time, open the shoulder, and you squeeze, and then you relax. The next one is called stabbing the shoulder. You open your shoulder, you grab daggers, as if you're grabbing two daggers. You point the dagger onto your shoulder, this energy point called the well on the shoulder. You open your shoulder, it's important. And then you stab, you feel the tightness in the back of your neck. And then you relax. Second time, open the shoulder, grab the dagger, point the dagger on the shoulder, and you stab. And then you relax. One last time, stab, and then relax. Next one's called a cross, right? Now you can feel the two trees on the side. You don't need to go like boom, like this. You just push, okay? Now you form a cross, you roll your wrists, you roll your fist, you take a deep breath, you hold your breath, and you push as hard as you can. And then relax. Second time. And then relax. One last time. Relax. We'll do the same thing, front hanging, lock the elbow, Roll your wrist, Roll your fist, take a deep breath, hold your breath, and push. And then relax. Second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. Next one is like the chin up. We're actually energizing this muscle. Okay, you look up, you see the ball across, you grab the ball, and you do a pull up. Relax. Use your muscle, okay? Use it or lose it. Get ready? Second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. Okay, we continue. This time we're working on the muscle that are closer to the lung. Get ready? Grab the phone book, the yellow page, and rip. And then relax. Second time. And then relax. One last time. And then relax. And then we collect all the sliders. Remind you that you need to be sure that you were on fight or flight, and as well as rest and digest. You collect all your sliders and you swallow. Now the next exercise is actually quite important, and this Ying Jing YJ exercise was brought to the Chinese by Bodhidharma, who was a yogi. So it makes sense that there's some similarity between this exercise and what would be considered yoga exercise. The exercise that we practice in the States, in the West, is a particular strand of yoga called a Hatha Yoga. One of the key features of Hatha Yoga is the inversion, because they believe that the essence of the body, just as I said, comes from the kidney, and you want it to flow to the top of the head, not the other way around. And so there's a lot of inversion. And so this exercise is an inversion. It basically takes the essence of your kidney and let it flow to the top of your head. Now, you do this by maintaining your, what we call the goat stand, where you turn your toes inward, loosening up your knee. You look straight ahead, you straighten up your back, the kidneys, and back of the hand touching. And you lower your body, lower your head, all the way down, locking your elbow. And you squeeze your fists one time, relax, back of the hand touching, looking straight down. Squeeze your hand second time, back of the hand touching. So this is the only exercise where there's an inversion of the body. And one last time. Okay. Now, make sure that you don't stand on your knee. Okay. And when you flip your hand, you focus on the center of your palm. You take a deep breath. And then breathe out. Breathe in. You see this big rock in front of you? Push. And then you take a deep breath. And then relax. Okay, so we only have 5 minutes left, but I need at least 10 minutes. So it's very important that we do meditate after we do the Ying Jing YJ exercise, because we want to be sure that we maintain that balance and we come back to the rest and digest. So when you meditate, we also combine with the breathing exercise, energizing the diaphragm, cycling between the two autonomous nerve system. And before we do anything, we come back to the body. Straighten up our spine, lifting up our shoulder, opening our shoulder, lean back and relax. Lean back the forehead, ears on top of the shoulder, and then tuck in the chin. Relax the eyelid, So you shut your eye, but you close your eye, but you don't shut your eye. You just relax the eyelid so you can actually see some light coming through, just like the baby. And then finally, you take the tip of the tongue, you put it behind here where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. That puts you on um, rest and digest. The first exercise is really about the abdomen, the stomach. So I want you to focus on your belly button and just feel your breath. Feel that you're breathing in, feel that you're breathing out. Now I want you to move your stomach, move your belly button. When you breathe in, move the belly button forward. You don't have to do a lot, just relax. If you try to do too much, the diaphragm will tighten up and you can't do anymore. Okay, it's actually, you just want to relax. Relax the stomach, move as if you're moving the belly button forward. And when you feel that you're breathing out, you take the belly button and you bring it back, collapsing your stomach slightly, just a very slight. When you breathe in, you relax your stomach, move the belly button forward. When you breathe out, you take your belly button, bring it back, one breath at a time. Let just sit for 3 minutes, okay? Make good use of the next 10 minutes. There are two questions on the stapping. I'll explain that in a minute, okay? Yeah, I was going to say the same thing to Rebecca. Sometimes you have to get out the app and come back in if you lose audio. Or you go straight to the YouTube channel. But there's a delay when you do that. So do the best you can. But just focus on the breath, one breath at a time. Try to move your stomach, move the belly button forward when you breathe in, move the belly button back when you breathe out. Now, next week, we're going to focus on the breathing exercise. Okay, so just keep coming back, keep practicing, you get better at this. I breathe from my stomach without even thinking. That's the only way I know. But it takes practice. Okay, now we'll continue. The next part requires that we cycle the energy around our body. And you say, well, where does that energy come from? Well, the energy comes from your intestines, actually, because when you breathe through your diaphragm, moving the belly button forward, opening the stomach, basically what you're doing is you're pulling down the diaphragm as you breathe in. And when you breathe out, you bring the stomach, the belly button back, you collapse your stomach, You're pushing up the diaphragm. So the first health benefit that comes from that, other than in addition to cycling between the two autonomous nerves, is that when you breathe in, you increase the volume of the lung, you get more oxygen that way. And then when you breathe out, you're actually clearing the bottom third of the lung, right? So because as we grow old, we're losing the ability to breathe efficiently. We actually accumulate moistures or water in the bottom of the lung, and once that happens, it's not reversible. So it's not a good thing. So there's a lot of benefit in that already. Now, in addition, you're massaging the intestines. Intestines are piezoelectric, so you're actually creating some static electricities in your stomach that the Chinese call dan tan, the fuel of fire. So the next thing we want to do is we want to cycle it through our body. The spine is conductive, and so what you need to do is to create electric potential. Once you create the electric potential, those electrons will travel. And you do that by using what's between your left brain and your right brain. So let's get back to our posture, get back to our breath. And this time, I want you to focus on the bottom of your spine and just feel your breath. And you actually feel that your stomach moves on its own when you breathe in, and your stomach moves on its own when you breathe out. Now, I want you to focus on your breath. And when you know that you're breathing in, I want you to move from the bottom of your spine, up the spine, towards the top of the head. But it's important that you stretch your spine when you do that. And then when you get to the top of the head, you feel that you're breathing out. You move down from the top of the head to the forehead, to the nose, the bridge of your nose, through the tongue, all the way back to the belly button. But it's important that when you do that, you lean back and you relax. When you breathe in, you move from the bottom of your spine towards the top of your head. You stretch your spine. When you breathe out, you lean back and come back all the way down. Now it's important you do both. You stretch and you lean back. Because when you stretch, you feel the life force in you. And when you lean back and relax, you're actually removing the load on your muscle and you feel the lightness. I want you to also practice gratitude and acceptance. Just imagine what we're doing when we breathe in. We're taking oxygen from our habitat. We feel that oxygen traveling on our spine. But where does that oxygen come from? The oxygen comes from the forest. It's important that when you want to enhance your health, enhance your quality of life as you age, that you understand where that life comes from. You understand that when we call ourselves human being, it's being first, which means that we have to be one with the other beings. That oxygen comes from the forest. The other beings, all the other beings, are there to protect the forest. That's how we got the oxygen. So when you feel the life force traveling up your spine, you focus on your gratitude, how you're grateful for all the other beings around you. And when you breathe out, you come back, you lean back and you relax. I want you to focus on acceptance, not only accepting others, but accepting yourself. Instead of thinking about all the things you did wrong, think about all the times that you did your best and you accept yourself as who you are, what you look like, and your preferences. They are you. You don't need to justify to anybody else. Accept you as who you are accept others as who they are. When you breathe in, you move from the bottom of your spine towards the top of the head. You stretch your spine and you practice your gratitude. When you breathe out, you start at the top of the head, you come down through your forehead, you lean back, you feel the lightness in you, and you practice acceptance. The two are together. When you accept yourself as who you are, removing the load on your body and your mind, and you feel that lightness. Let's sit for 3 minutes. Practice on what we call metta, loving kindness, compassion, empathy, and equanimity. Feel the life force in you as you breathe in, and be grateful for all the other beings. Feel the lightness in you as you breathe out and lean back, and practice on acceptance. Okay, open your eyes. All right, so there were a couple of questions on the staffing. I don't have time to explain that today, but we're going to be doing that week after next. So I'll just remind myself to do a better explaining. Okay. All right. So with that, that's the end of our Saturday class. I'll see you again next week, and I'll be back. And next time I travel might be in March. So we'll keep practicing. Okay. OK，我哋星期一見嚇，多謝大家支持。
感恩Danny師兄。
OK，拜拜，拜拜。
拜拜，多謝Danny師兄。
OK，拜拜，多謝大家。OK，拜拜。Okay, so I'll see you all next week. Let us all be blessed with peace, with health, and with happiness. Namaste. Bye-bye.